today indeed it is, I would just like to dub it outright as a bestowal of divine grace, because this is Vivekanand Jha, an author, academician and a public intellectual. I would like to greet all my viewers from across the world, because I am right now in a very, very famous village, that is Sirhuli, and from where one of the living legends of the world, the youngest living legend of the world, Jyoti Paswan, who is referred to as cycle girl of this country and the whole world. She hails from this particular village, which is in the immediate vicinity of Darbhanga, that is Sirhuli village. I am closeted with Jyoti Paswan, the youngest living legend of the nation. And my dear viewers, as you all are aware by now, that I have very much embarked on a historic journey to write the second series of the living legends of Mithila. And day before yesterday, in the process, I had already portrayed Dr. Sri Vivekanand Jha, an educationist par excellence, and of course, a pioneer in terms of researching on Makhana. I have already had the privilege of portraying him in Darbhanga. And today, in the course of portraying the youngest living legend of the nation as the living legend of Mithila, I have come to visit the very, very famous place, Sirhuli, the place which has become more famous because of this cycle girl, because of Jyoti Paswan, the youngest living legend of India, who by all parameters should be regarded as the reincarnation of Shravan Kumar, because the dedication and devotion that Jyoti Paswan had shown towards her father, who unfortunately is no more with us, is something legendary. My dear viewers, I do have the privilege of portraying Jyoti Paswan in one of my another book, which is very much on the verge of publication. That is a journey from Rajniti to Lokniti, where I had portrayed Jyoti Paswan as a beacon of hope, especially during such catastrophic times when Corona had afflicted the mankind and entire world. Jyoti Paswan rose to that daunting challenge when she was living with her father in Gurgaon, where her father was suffering from a very, very grave injury, and he was not getting any job because he was a rickshaw puller. And he expressed his desire to return to his village, in the village that is Sirhuli. And Jyoti Paswan, she had no other option. They bought a cycle of worth 1,000 rupees. All that we'll hear from her version. But what I know, and then she drove her father, just sitting him on pillion. He brought her father from Gurgaon to Mithila, that is Sirhuli, in just 8 days. A miracle, nothing short of a miracle. It is incredible achievement. People would hardly believe that how a young girl, barely of 14, 15 years old, while making her father sit on a pillion, she drove the rickshaw from across Gurgaon to that of Mithila, that is Sirhuli. And not only that, as her mother informed me a couple of minutes back, when she brought her father, exhibiting an unparalleled heroism, fellow villagers were not allowing them to come in. But then her mother, stirred a lot of protest. She stirred a vehement protest, and then finally she prevailed upon the fellow villagers, and somehow she brought her husband and her daughter to her home. And where exactly I am here with Jyoti, they would stay at night here. Again early morning they were sent to the shelter home. Again after the dusk they were brought home. In this way, you can well understand what sort of catastrophic time had afflicted them. And see the tragedy, my dear viewers. Tears streamed down my cheek when first time when the rivulet of tears just glistened my eyes when I heard that Jyoti Paswan had lost her beloved father. A Shravan Kumar of our time, of course the female version. I also cried bitterly that see the cruel fate, how that this brave girl, a heroic girl, by showing unparalleled heroism, she brought her father back on a pillion ride, and then she lost him. So, but divine will show that Jyoti Paswan will rise, again on the firmament of the Bharat Barsha as as a hero, or you can say as a valiant leader of the nation in whatever field she chooses in the future. So I am engaging Jyoti Paswan, the second living legend of Mithila, whom I am going to portray for my upcoming historic book, The Living Legends of Mithila, which is, apart from being a cultural piece of fantasy, it is also going to serve the purpose of foreign policy document, because it will bring in Mithila and Indian Maithili community from India and Maithili community from Nepal both together in a fraternal bonding. So the living legend of Mithila part 2 has already kick-started with Vidya Babu being portrayed as the first legend. Second legend, I am there here in the village Sirhuli with Jyoti Paswan as the second legend of the living legends of Mithila part 2. So I am engaging Jyoti in some small conversation. She is unable to speak in the other language, even not that fluent or proficient in Hindi. So I will speak to her in Maithili, and subsequently I will translate whatever she is going to communicate to me into Hindi, into English, I beg your pardon, for the greater understanding of the masses across the world. Jyoti, अहाँ से भेंट कऽ हमरा बहुत प्रसन्नता भेल, और अपने से अहाँ से बहुत छोट हम बचिया छी, पूरा मिथिला के नहीं, हिंदुस्तान के नहीं, विश्व के गौरव अहाँ छी आइ के डेट में, पूरा विश्व का गौरवान्वित के लिए हम सब जब घर में घुसल छलो जब कोरोना के महामारी से, ओहि टाइम में एक बहादुर बेटी मिथिला के पूरा विश्व में आगाज कऽ देलखिन। भाई देखियो अपन पिता के जे छै से साइकिल में बैसा कऽ अनलो, एतेक दूर के सफर, 1200 किलोमीटर के सफर अहाँ पूरा केलहुँ, तो एतेक साहस केना भेल, कनि हमर दर्शक सबके बतबियो जे केना ओहि तरह के परिस्थिति भेलै आ केना एतेक पैघ बहादुरी अहाँ के लिए। ज्योति पासवान, माय डियर व्यूअर्स, प्लीज। हाँ ज्योति, कहियो।
हमरा की भी वहाँ पे सब कुछ की दिक्कत छे, खाना पीना रहना उना सारा चीज के दिक्कत छे। वहाँ पे की पापा के 26 जनवरी के रात में ठोकर लगे, पूरा गाँव पापा के बहुत हो गया, चल नहीं पावे छे, बहुत सीरियस छे। कि यहाँ से हम सब कुछ 3 तारीख यहाँ से हम और हमारे मम्मी और हमारे जीजा जी यहाँ से गए। वहाँ गए तो पापा बहुत हाल पापा के बहुत खराब छे। वहाँ पे सब कुछ का दिक्कत, तो मम्मी मेरी आंगनबाड़ी में मम्मी काम लिखा है, तो मम्मी बोले कि बेटा हमें तो 10 दिन की छुट्टी है, तो तू पापा के पास गए। ठीक है पापा, मम्मी से हम यहाँ पे रुक गए। वहाँ पे की मिले तो मम्मी सब चले गए वहाँ पे रुक के लिए पापा के पास, खाना उना बना के देला, खाना उना के वही लागू दिया। कि वहाँ पे मतलब पहला कोरोना लगे तो हमें बहुत दिक्कत हो गई। यहाँ से मम्मी लोन उठा के फिर वहाँ पे पैसा भी दे, फिर वहाँ पे पैसा दे तो मम्मी तो वही पैसा सबको खाना खाए, सब कुछ हो गया यूज कर। फिर दूसरा कोरोना में भी रुकी है, तीसरा कोरोना में बहुत दिक्कत हो गई, रूम भाड़ा से मांगने लगे, सब कुछ मांगने लगे, मतलब बहुत दिक्कत। और हम सब वहाँ से रिटर्न आ गए, तो पापा बोले ये सब चले बेटी से चल इन लोग के साथ। ठीक है पापा चलिए। वहाँ पे हम साइकिल लिए मतलब 1000 में, फिर वहाँ से मतलब साइकिल लेके 500 का रुपया लिया, फिर 500 का लेके बोले कि आके आएंगे ना दे देंगे। ठीक है बेटा। फिर वहाँ से हम साइकिल लेके राती मतलब 10 बजे वहाँ से निकल गए सब आदमी तक, मतलब भर दिन चला रात के मतलब पेट्रोल पंप के पास बीत जाए और सब रास्ता सब खाना उना दै छे, तो वही रास्ता उसका में खाए छे। रात जहाँ हो छे सो जाए छे पेट्रोल पंप के पास, सुबह हो के चला दे छे।
So my dear viewers, what Jyoti Paswan had said, I'm just going to translate them into English for the clarity of understanding of non-Maithili viewers. Jyoti says that her father was staying in Gurgaon, and her father was seriously ill. He was unable to work because in fact he was driving rickshaw, so he was unable to work, and therefore Jyoti along with her mother and her brother-in-law, all three of them had gone to Gurgaon. And then, since her mother is employed here in the village, in the capacity of an Anganwadi, she got the leave of only 10 days. So she expressed her inability to stay with her father for any longer. Therefore, Jyoti stayed back there, and then, her mother was sending some remittance, and that enabled Jyoti and her father to sustain in Gurgaon. But that also exhausted after a while, and then her father suggested that they should return to the village. But again, the question was how, because there was no communication available on road. And then see the bravery, the heroism, unparalleled heroism of a girl, adolescent girl. See, at 1,000 rupees they bought a rickshaw. Even 50 rupees they could not pay. 50 rupiya nahi ja sakali, baby. 50 rupees they could not pay, and they just took it on, just borrowed it, on condition that they would repay it later. And she brought her father on a pillion ride, and she said within 8 days, see the miracle, the divine miracle, my dear viewers. In 8 days she had traversed a distance of 1200 kilometers, along with her father, making him sit on pillion or giving him a pillion ride. She says, as soon as the dusk would happen, they would take rest near some petrol pump, and at early dawn again they would resume their journey. And in this way, within 8 days, this is the divine child, the child prodigy Jyoti Paswan had traversed a distance of 1200 kilometers, created a world history. And my dear viewers, you all know that Trump's president, the then president of America, Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka, had also tweeted about her bravery, the saga of an unparalleled bravery, which was scripted by a brave Mithila girl, that is Jyoti Paswan. Jyoti, अब ये बात कहूँ तो बहुत पे काज करिए, पिताजी कहते कष्ट का अनलिए अनला के बादो जना गाँव में अहाँ सबको घुसा नहीं दिल जना अहाँ माता जी कहल तो ओहि समय में अहाँ के दर्द बहुत भेल है। देखियो ये हमर लोग सब केना छै, एते कष्ट कऽ हम पिताजी के अनलहुँ आ तहन जे छै से हमरा ई सब घुसा नहीं दै छै। My dear viewers, just to translate this question into English, when Jyoti Paswan along with her father arrived on the, just at the village gate, the villagers were up in arms. They never permitted Jyoti and her father to come inside the village. Then see the bravery of her mother. अब आपके माता जी के नाम her mother Fulo Devi. She picked up the gauntlet against the villagers, and then she challenged them that what sort of people you are, that you are preventing the entry of my brave daughter with her ailing father, with my ailing husband. Somehow they managed to come from that far off, and you are still restricting them to come inside. So somehow they were taken in. तो करी अपन बारे में कहियो क्या इस परिस्थिति के बारे में केना चैलेंज के एक्सेप्ट करिए और कौन तरह से फिर भर के लिए प्लीज।
मतलब वहाँ पे भी कि मतलब पापा मतलब बोले मैं सब कुछ की दिक्कत है, तो वहाँ से हम लोग घर गए तो यहाँ हम 8 दिन में पहुँचेंगे। पहुँच के 8 दिन में तो मतलब गाँव में ही ना 9 बजे रात में भी ना सब मतलब बोले चले कि कोरोना लेके आया, दिन बाद बेटी कोरोना लेके आया। तो हम तो बोले कि पापा की करना से यहाँ पर रहो नहीं रही है की करना, तो हमारा मतलब बिना के स्कूल पे पूरा गाँव के सब बोले हम सब स्कूल पे चले गए। स्कूल पे गए तो अपना रात के फिर नहाए सवेरे, फिर वहाँ पे मम्मी दोस्त सही सबसे कि हमारे जवान बेटी वहाँ पे रुकता है, और वही रात में फिर सब बोले कि ले आओ छत पे था। फिर वहाँ पे छत पे सोचते के फिर सुबह में 4 बजे वहाँ पे पहुँच गए थे। और फिर वहाँ पे रहते रहते सब मतलब एक बड़ा सब बोले कि कौन आया, तो बोले कौन बेटी मतलब आपका बिना मतलब बोले वो अपने पिता को लेके आया साइकिल से। हाँ उनका पापा के लिए अपने उठा के साइकिल से बहुत वहाँ लोग पका के बहुत सीरियस थे, इसलिए हम उठा के लिए आए।
See the bravery of the girl, my dear viewers. Now, when her mother lodged a protest with the fellow villagers that it was absolutely an act of injustice, and not only an act of unethical as well, that when her daughter had shown such an exemplary courage of conviction by bringing her father on a pillion ride, and they are too traversing a distance of 1200 kilometers, it was they were prevented to come in. And how could she allow her young daughter to stay in an open space? That was the objection she raised, and that villagers showed some sort of, the villagers relented on hearing this particular plea, and on this ground, she was allowed in. She would sleep, on the roof at night, and early morning, even before dawn, she would just rush to that very shelter home. Again, on dusk, she would come back. बुची एकटा बात ई कहियो, जते कष्ट के बाद जे छै से मने मतलब जे छै से अपन पिताजी के अनलिए, मगर बहुत पे ई कहे हमरा बड़ा दुख भ रहल है, मगर यो जरूरी छै, सत्य बे छै। अपने के पिताजी जब चल गेला संसार से, हम पेपर में पढ़लो, हमरा बड़ा तकलीफ भेल। तो अपने के अहाँ के ई चीज के बड़ तकलीफ भेल है, तो देखियो एते कष्ट क्या के अपन पिता के अनलो, हमर पिता हमरा सब के बीच में नहीं छै, तो ओई समय में तो बुची अहाँ के बड़ तकलीफ भेल है। My dear viewers, she is unable to express herself. We can all appreciate the indescribable pain and misery that she was afflicted with on the demise of her father. Because the father, like a Shravan Kumar, in the contemporary times, Jyoti Paswan is nothing short of a Shravan Kumar, having brought her father on a pillion ride from Gurgaon to this particular village. And that too after a year or so. कितने दिन के बाद अपने पिता गुजर गए थे? 10 लाख बाद बेबी
20 मिनट तो है, 30 मिनट देख के लिया, 16 मिनट के लिया, 31 मिनट के लिया।
हाँ, 14 दिन के बाद।
हाँ, मतलब 31 मिनट 20 मिनट ही है पापा।
Oh, the 2021 number. So actually, she says in 2020 she brought her father back from Gurugram, but in 2021, she stood bereaved on account of demise of her father. So just with the passage of a year since she brought her father, showing a heroic courage that entire world had never witnessed. But see the tragedy of the fate that she lost her father barely into a year after she so courageously brought her father back at home. बुची तो ये जे बहुत दुखद बात हम सब सुनकर, मगर एकटा कहियो जे अहाँ के साइकिल गर्ल के उपाधि भेटल, और साइकिल गर्ल के भेटला के बाद अहाँ बहुत सारा ऑफरो भेटल जे अहाँ ई कॉपी ज्वाइन करू, ई कॉपी ज्वाइन करू, मगर अहाँ नहीं ज्वाइन केलिए। हम जब पेपर में पढ़लो जे नहीं, हमको नहीं ज्वाइन करना, हमको पढ़ना है, तो अहाँ एतेक जे छै एतेक मतलब उत्साहित भऽ कऽ पढ़ऽ चाहै छियै, तो अहाँ के की बने के इच्छा है भविष्य में? My dear viewers, my question is very simple. Jyoti, in the wake of her heroism, the exhibition of heroism, the offers poured in galore. So many corporate houses, doled out favor. They came up with all sorts of offers and overtures. But Jyoti refused to accept any such offer on the ground that she intended to go for higher studies, and that's why she did not accept any such offer. So this is my question to her, that when she is going for educational pursuit, what exactly is her ambition? What exactly does she intend to become? अहाँ की बनना चाहिए ज्योति? अगर की पढ़ाई चाहिए और की बनना चाहिए, कभी लोग सबको बताइए, कहियो।
लेकिन उस टाइम में सब बोले थे कि मतलब की पढ़ रहा है, मतलब हम बोले अभी कुछ नहीं, अभी हम पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं। उस टाइम में पापा छे बोले ठीक है, हम पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, उसके बाद हम सोच रहे कि क्या ही बने क्या। उसके बाद पापा का डेट के लिए तो हम की बने थे, हमारे घर में बहुत ज़्यादा दिक्कत हो गई है, सारा चीज़ के लिए घर बना लेने से खाना पीने के लिए बहुत दिक्कत हो रहा है। हम सोचते अगर हम ले तो हमारे भाई बहन आगे हम सोचते तो हम
हाँ, तो क्या बहुत भाई बहन छी आप सब?
हम 5 भाई बहन, 3 बहन 2 भाई, 3 बहन शादी हो गई, अभी 2 भाई 3 बहन।
हाँ, सब तो पैघ छियै, बहन मकान कब? दूसरी
उस टाइम में जो काम करे छे ओकरो काम छुड़िए हमरा कोरोना के टाइम में मेरे ना भी धीरे से मिले सब आगे हो गए, उस टाइम में रहे ओकरो काम छुड़िए, वो भी अभी नहीं पे रहे, ओकरो सब कुछ के दिक्कत हो गई, काम नहीं करे, भाई बहन के पीछे से हम पर एक जॉब लिए ये दिक्कत हो गई। इस बात में सब बोल के गए इसलिए हम
See the tragedy, my dear viewers, when the entire world came to know about her heroism, Many corporate houses came out, came out with their own offers, all lucrative offers. But all those offers dissipated in no time. All those empty promises vanished in thin air because Jyoti's nemesis has no end at all. Because all those people, they came out with all sorts, they dangled carrots then. All that disappeared in thin air. Today, what she says, I would just like to translate that in the wake of the death of her father, because while her father was alive, Jyoti, despite all sort of economic hardship, had resolved to go for further studies. But when her father had died, and when her brother-in-law, who was who was earning some money, who was having some sort of job, he too lost that particular job because of the corona times and because of his catering to the requirements of Jyoti's family. And all those corporate houses which came up with all sort of offers galore, they too vanished in thin air. See my dear viewers, see the sort of what sort of empty promises these corporate houses are making. They came with promises galore, but they never had any sort of audacity or even minimum honesty to implement their own offers or their own commitments. Jyoti today is suffering from a tremendous economic hardship. Although she is studying in the what school of Parichay, she is studying what class? She is studying in Inter in Arts in Raj High School here in Darbhanga. But see her misfortune. All those the companies, the corporate houses, who came up to extend their support, all their their offers, all their promises, they all vanished, they all disappeared. Jyoti has no helping hand today. The government of Bihar government kisko support more. Even Bihar government, I remember the statement of Mr. Jyoti, our Chief Minister Sri Nitish Kumar ji. He too spoke so loftily about Jyoti Paswan, even publicly announcing that she is the brand ambassador of Bihar. Where is your promise, Mr. Nitish Kumar? This is the people of Bihar and India are questioning your own integrity of your statement. See our poor our daughter from Mithila and Bihar, and despite doing such an unparalleled work across the world, she is suffering from economic hardship. What sort of promises you are making, Mr. Chief Minister? It is a time for you to implement your promise. See the hardship of the entire family. The girl who brought gold glory to entire Bihar and the nation. She is facing all this neglect because she is a girl and daughter of Mithila. Had she been the daughter of other part of Bihar, would she have suffered the same hardship? No. It is all because Mithila in some way or other is being discriminated against as an author of Yes, I am Bihari and how my Bihari who. I am asking Mr. Chief Minister Sri Nitish Kumar ji to implement, to enforce or to implement his own promise, to do what he had promised publicly. And I read his statement in newspaper that Jyoti Paswan is the brand ambassador of Bihar. Where is that brand ambassadorial assignment, Mr. Chief Minister? It is a time for you. It is a time. I am also an author of the living legends of Mithila and Mithila ke Adunik Diggaj. We having glorified Mithila at the global level. I seek your benign intervention, Mr. Chief Minister, to immediately come forward to implement your promise that you have publicly made to such a brave girl, the child prodigy of Mithila, Bihar, nation and the world, that is Jyoti Paswan. You have to immediately take a note of the grinding misery of the entire family of Jyoti Paswan today. Do come forward, accept the mistake that you have made, and instantly reward the girl who intends to study and build up her future. Where you have disappeared, Mr. Kumar, today. Listen to the voice of Mithila, listen to the voice of Bihar, listen to the voice of the nation, and implement the very promise that you have made to this child, this child prodigy, that is Jyoti Paswan. This is the demand of an author of the living legends of Mithila and Mithila ke Adunik Diggaj. This is a demand of हाँ मैं बिहारी हूँ, and yes, the author of हाँ मैं बिहारी हूँ, and yes, I am Bihari. I am demanding on behalf of the people of Bihar as well as people of Mithila that the government of Bihar as well as the government of India, Mr. Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji, I have written 3 books on you as well as on Hindu nationalism. You launched my book in Vibrant Gujarat Education Summit in 2014. Delhi beckons Radha for Namo. I call upon the Prime Minister of India, Honorable Prime Minister of India. It is a clarion call of a writer, of an author of the Delhi beckons Radha for Namo. Yes, I am Bihari and the living legends of Mithila to come for the immediate rescue of the family of Jyoti Paswan, the living legend of India, who is trapped today in the utter misery, to extricate her from her all sort of economic woes and sorrow. This is the call of the author of Yes, I am Bihari, the living legends of Mithila, Vivekanand Jha, an author, academician and public intellectual. Maybe last young question पूछा वहाँ से अंतिम क्वेश्चन अहाँ के लिविंग लेजेंड्स ऑफ मिथिला में लड़ रहा छी सेकंड लेजेंड का अहाँ डिस्क्राइब कर रहा छी अहाँ बहुत पैघ काज करो मकरो दुआ की छै पर भविष्य में और अहाँ की काज करऽ चाहै छियै जैसे मिथिला भारत आ विश्व के मानवता के गौरव हो एहि बारे में किछु कहियो बहुत दिन लोग हमर व्यूअर्स सब Thanks a lot, my dear viewers. What Jyoti Paswan says, that indeed, given the immediate problem to attend to, because she has all siblings, two chaita bhai bhain chhe na, akan kya hota hai chaita, two bhain two bhai, two sisters and two brothers, the siblings of Jyoti Paswan, whom she has to cater to, and therefore at the same time she wants to study as well. So she is unable to unfold the vision for her future because she doesn't know what will happen tomorrow, but she wants to study. My dear viewers, whoever may see this video and take and feel empathetic towards our living legend of the nation and one of the greatest figures of 21st century, such a young child, young baby in her adolescence, that one should come out to help the family. That is Jyoti Paswan of the village Sirhuli of Darbhanga district. All of you are welcome to contribute for the alleviation of misery of the family of Jyoti Paswan, the living legend of India. And of course, as we are going to portray her as a living legend of Mithila in my forthcoming book, The Living Legends of Mithila Part 2, she is going to be the second legend whom I am going to portray today, and that is the purpose I have visited from Darbhanga in the just immediate vicinity of this particular village to portray the brave daughter of Mithila, Bihar, India and the world, that is Jyoti Paswan. With these words, I really thank profusely to our brave daughter Jyoti Paswan for doing all that, whatever barely anybody could have done in the given situation, which she had done then. Really deserves 1,000 salutations from one and all. Thank you, thanks to all of you. This is Vivekanand Jha, an author, academician and a public intellectual, the author of The Living Legends of Mithila Part 2, and I salute all of you. Let us look forward to another magnum opus coming in the year 2024, that is The Living Legends of Mithila Part 2. Thank you Jyoti, aapko bahut bahut dhanyawad. Thanks to my viewers.